Say sorry now, or you'll regret it. Lisa's voice ripped through the terminal like a slap. She stood, fuming, in her gate agent uniform, finger jabbing toward a tall black man whose polo shirt was stained with coffee. Phones went up. Travelers paused mid-stride. Darius didn't flinch. His ticket crumpled in his hand, eyes fixed calmly on Lisa's face. I said, she barked louder, this isn't a joke. People like you think you can sneak into first class. He glanced at the crowd. No one moved. No one spoke. And then, slowly, he said. Sorry. I'm firing you. Gasps broke out. Someone hit record. Lisa froze. No one knew who he really was. But they were about to find out. Hours earlier, Darius had folded that gray polo with care, the one his daughter gifted him after his final Pentagon contract. It wasn't flashy. Just familiar. Grounding. Like armor. The airport buzzed with early morning chaos. He moved quietly, head down, luggage in hand. But the stairs came anyway. A couple edged away. A man clutched his briefcase tighter. None of it was new. At the boarding gate, Lisa barely glanced up. Coach is that way, she snapped, dismissing him like gum on her shoe. He gently placed his first-class boarding pass on the counter. Her eyes flicked down. Then narrowed. This real? She asked, already reaching for it. Before he could reply, she tore the pass in half. Nice forgery, she muttered. You people get real creative. Then came the coffee. Oops, she said, letting the cup slip just enough. The hot liquid soaked his shirt, dripping down his collarbone like accusation. Darius stiffened, fists clenched. But he said nothing. Lisa leaned in. No one's gonna believe you, honey. But they'll believe me. Behind him, the security guard crossed his arms. Travelers avoided eye contact. A few phones tilted upward. Still, Darius stayed silent. What they didn't see, what Lisa didn't notice, was the glint of metal clipped inside his pocket. A silver pin, shaped like a hawk. A symbol. A warning. Footsteps echoed, calm, deliberate. A man in a tailored black suit stepped beside the security guard. What seems to be the problem here? Lisa straightened instantly, smug. This man tried to fake a first class. I know exactly who he is, the man cut her off, his voice sharp and quiet. He turned to Darius and nodded with quiet respect. Lisa blinked. Wait, who is he? Darius finally spoke, his voice measured. I'm the systems architect for the Homeland Airport Security Initiative. The code your badge uses to unlock doors. I wrote it. Gasps rippled through the crowd. He reached into his messenger bag and placed a thin folder on the counter. Inside, blueprints, contracts, a Homeland Intelligence logo, and a photo of Darius, arm in arm with a senator. I'm not here to press charges, he said, but I will be submitting a report. Lisa's mouth parted slightly, but no sound came. Then he added, cool and final, I accept your apology. You've been fired. A hush fell over the terminal. The man in the suit turned toward Lisa. You might want to step away from the counter. Security approached, confusion on their faces, until one of the officers stopped short, eyes locking onto Darius. Sir, the officer said with sudden deference. I've seen you speak at the Atlanta training conference. Darius gave a single nod. The crowd was no longer silent. A few whispered, others murmured in disbelief. That's the guy who designed the new threat protocol. Lisa's face drained of color. She stumbled over her words, I thought. I didn't know. But it didn't matter anymore. The man in the suit handed Darius a new boarding pass. First class. Gate 1 has been notified. Without a word, Darius took it, adjusted the soaked polo over his shoulder, and turned to leave. Behind him, the folder still lay on the counter, untouched, glowing under the terminal lights like evidence in a courtroom. He passed a row of wide-eyed passengers, and one young boy stared through the window at him, awe on his face. Darius smiled softly. The boy smiled back. Darius sat alone in first class, next to the window, shirt still damp with coffee. But his posture had changed. Shoulders down. Breathing steady. Across the aisle, an older woman leaned in. "What you did back there?" He met her eyes. Calm. Steady. "Some people yell to prove power," he said. "Some just show up." Outside, the plane began to taxi. The rising sun lit the runway in soft gold. Back at the gate, Lisa's voice still echoed in people's minds. The clip was already spreading, captioned, looped, dissected. "Racist airport worker gets instant justice." Millions were watching. But Darius wasn't thinking about that. He wasn't chasing revenge. He didn't need it. What happened wasn't about ego. It wasn't even about him. It was about the silence. The way people freeze. The way power gets misused. And what happens when one man decides not to stoop, but to stand. As the plane lifted into the clouds, Darius closed his eyes, not in triumph, but in clarity. Quiet strength doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be seen. If this story moved you, don't scroll past it. Comment. Subscribe. And help us keep voices like Darius's heard.